Hello, Professor Clary. This is my final video for my final lesson plan, and here I go. Okay, so hello class. Today I am making you put to practice your poetry skills. We just finished up watching Dead Poet Society, which was to prepare you for this lesson, which is centered around poetry. We also read through What Have You Lost by Naomi Nye. That is our main text for this week. I asked you to, as we were reading, look beyond the poems that were in the book and try to put yourself in the author's shoes. Did any of the poems in this book resonate with you or change your perspective at all on anything or inspire you to maybe write poetry for yourself? That's what poetry is all about. Sorry. This is a collection of poems written by other authors as well as Naomi herself. And being able to analyze and write poetry, it's more than just creating art. It's going to help you tremendously in your studies and with life in general. Poetry really is. It helps with more than what people think it does. It helps develop analytical skills, helps broaden your grammar, and it helps improve your mental health by giving you a creative outlet to create art. I've chosen 3 different poems this week that are the inspiration for your assignment, which I'm very excited about. The poems include an acrostic poem, a haiku, and a free verse poem. I want you to look at all the poems that we're about to go over and see what makes them different from one another, unique to themselves. Do they all rhyme? Do they have a specific form or format? Or is there nothing uniform that you can figure out at all with any of them, you know? So this is all about analyzing poetry when we go over. And we're going to analyze, like I said just now, analyze these poems, and then it is assignment time or portfolio time. You're going to write 3 poems yourselves, all of which are inspired by the poems that I have chosen and that we're going to go over soon. You're going to write a haiku, you're going to write a free verse poem, and you're going to write an acrostic poem. These can be about anything, but I do want them all to match one central theme. So are your poems, do you want to write about nature? Are your poems going to be about your favorite hobby? Are your poems going to be about your family? Maybe sports even. It could be about a real niche topic or something very broad. You can write about your favorite music genre. There's a million different ideas that you could write about, but I want all of your poems to match one theme that you choose, and this is going to be the theme of your portfolio. These poems that you write are going to go into this portfolio, and it's simply just a collection of your work. In addition to the poems, you are going to create a cover for your portfolio. And just a quick overview, I have an assignment sheet I'll pass out, but the cover page is going to include your name, it's going to include the titles of your poems, and then some sort of art aspect. So let's say, for example, you write about nature. I want you to maybe draw a flower or draw a tree. Or if you're writing about sports, you can draw a basketball, football. If it's about your family, you can draw like a stylized stick figure family, something with an art aspect that can let the readers know like what your theme of your portfolio is going to be about. Okay, so now that we've gone over that, it's time to analyze the poems. So this poem is the haiku is by Matsuo Basho. I think I'm saying that right. Okay, and I have it right here. Okay, so to go over it, it's just very short. An old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash, silence again. So, what makes this poem unique? So, I'm sure that we've all heard of haikus before, and it's okay if you kind of forgot about what goes on in this types of style, but it's all about syllables. So, with a haiku, you have to remember the golden numbers 575. So, the first portion of the poem, first line, is 5 syllables, then it goes into 7 syllables, then it goes into 5 syllables again. So, an old silent pond. An old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. A frog jumps into the pond. And then splash, silence again. Splash, silence again. That's all there is to it. So your first poem that you're going to write is a haiku, and you have to match that format because that is what makes a haiku. The syllables 575. Okay, so just make notes. You can make notes to yourself of what makes a haiku special, and it's just the syllables. The next poem that you're going to write is an acrostic poem, so let's go over the example that I have given you. It is by John Keats, and it's called Acrostic Georgiana Augusta Keats. Okay, so I'm going to not go over it because it's pretty long, but I just want you to notice with this poem, I know it's backwards, look at the first letter of each line, okay? So I'll just say the first letter of each line is G, E, O, R, G, I, A, N, A. What does that spell? Georgiana. So that is what makes an acrostic poem an acrostic. The first letter of each line, when you go vertical, spells out a word, and then each line horizontally has to like make sense, obviously, with that first letter of the line. But when you just go vertically, it spells out a word. And so, like the next stanza would be Augusta, Augusta. I do want to note that you don't have to title a poem your whatever you write acrostically. That's just what the specific poem is, but your title of your acrostic poem does not have to be what it is spelled vertically. Okay, so make notes about what makes an acrostic poem an acrostic. And then the last poem that we're going to go over is a free verse poem, and it is the specific one I chose to show you is by Walt Whitman, and it is called sorry, one second. It is called Songs of Myself. Okay, and this is just a portion of the poem because it is pretty long. But I'll just read the first two stanzas. Walt Whitman. Okay, and it goes, I celebrate myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul, I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. Houses and rooms are full of perfumes, the shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance myself, and I know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I do not let it. So, this poem is free verse. There is nothing uniform about it. There is no rhyming. There is no specific format. Free verse is in the name. It's in the title. It's just however you want it to be. It doesn't have to rhyme. It can rhyme if you want it, but it does not have to. It's whatever you want to make it. And so this is the poem that I feel like you have the most creative freedom with, because you're not stuck to certain syllables, you're not stuck to certain words you have to start with, etc. This is the one I feel like you can be most creative. It can be however long you want, it could be however short you want. Now, don't be lazy with it, don't take shortcuts, but really just have fun with the free verse. Okay, so that is just a quick overview of the examples. Now that we have gone over the poems, it's time for you to start planning. I'm going to pass out a page to you. It's just titled the Poetry and Practice Assignment Sheet, and this is just everything that you have to be sure to get into your poem. Look at it, and then I also am passing out a Poetry and Practice Planner Sheet. This sheet is just for you to use to help like with your rough drafts and planning. Look at it and start filling out the page. It's a tool for you to start planning out your poems. Once you fill out the blanks that I have provided and you have a good foundation for your writing, you can start writing your poems. And I want you to write rough drafts first. I want you to write rough drafts of all your poems and then like lay them out literally beside each other and look at them and see like, hey, are these cohesive? Hey, do they all match a central theme? Do they all make sense with one another? You know, just keep these rough drafts so you're not wasting your time on creating and perfecting a final draft. And then make sure that once you have your poems, the rough drafts written, you can finally then do your final drafts. You can either write or type your final draft. It's up to you. Since you are the artist, you can create with whatever medium you want it to be. All I require is that it be not in pencil, so it could be in pen, marker, colored marker, colored matte pencil. It just cannot be in regular pencil because that's not professional enough for a professional portfolio, and that's what you're going to create. This is a professional portfolio of your work. So you're going to combine your final drafts with your cover page and turn them all in together, and I look forward to seeing what you have to come up with. So like I said, I'm passing out this assignment sheet that goes over our objective overall objective for the assignment, a to-do list, just to keep you on track to remember what you need to do and what order you need to do it in. I included some helpful tips and tricks. For example, you can have one of your classmates read over your poem, and then vice versa. You can read over your classmate's poem and, give them constructive criticism. Constructive criticism, do not be mean. I have dictionaries and thesaurus for you to use, but you can also use online sources as well. When you're creating poetry, especially if you're creating one that you want to rhyme, the sources are your best friend because you're able to find words that mean the same thing but sound better, and that is what expands grammar so much, is whenever you're forced to use words that you're not comfortable with, you're going to broaden your grammar skills. So that is what's so great about poetry. And you can use online sources as well, that's totally fine. Be creative with your titles. Like I said, your titles don't have to be exactly like the examples I gave. Like for the acrostic poem, you don't have to have the acrostic portion in the title. You can just title whatever you want it to be as long as it makes sense. The titles are what's going to draw your audience in. And then on the assignment sheet as well, I have your requirements for the assignment. So you're turning in 3 poems, 1 cover page, and then I have listed the requirements for your cover page, and then finally neatness and careful editing. And I want to note that although poems don't follow grammar rules all the time, you cannot use that as an excuse to have misspelling or incorrect grammar on purpose just because you're lazy. If these like misspellings or grammar mistakes are present, I want you to be able to explain why it's like that and give me a rationale for why you included that. So like if you purposely misspelled a word, was it to give dramatic effect, etc. And then I'm just passing out your poetry and planner sheet, which it has spaces for you to come up with your central theme, and then your haiku title and notes for your haiku, your acrostic title and then notes for your acrostic poem, and then your free verse title and notes for your free verse poem. And then finally, there's a page for you just to mark down notes for your cover page if you don't want to forget them. And that is this week's assignment. So I hope you have fun. Poetry is fun. It's so beneficial to be able to analyze and write poetry, I believe. So this is going to be a great tool for you to use in your future classes. So thank you.